Good evening, and thank you for attending the monthly meeting of the Barrington Zoning Board of Adjustment. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:01. And if you are so inclined, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll start with a roll call of the members of the board who are present, starting with Ms. Flanagan.
Flanagan present.
Fairfield present.
Mako present. In addition, we also have our zoning administrator, Jamie Jennison, present, and our town planner, Ernie Kreveling, present. So I'm going to call the first of our action items, which is case 124-35-GR-25 VAR for a variance for owners Patrick J. Devine, James S. and Rebecca Devine Life Estate for a variance from Article 4, Section 4.1.1, Table 2 for a front setback of 21.1 feet where 40 feet is required. And before we start, Mr. Berry, your clients are entitled to a full board. As you can see, we only have 3 of our 5 board members present tonight. So I would just like to ask you on the record if you would like to proceed with the quorum that is present tonight.
Yes, Madam Chair, I believe we would. I would just ask that if there's any additional information that the board requires of us to make a more informed decision, we be offered the opportunity to provide that to the board moving forward. Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, then please proceed.
So good evening, Christopher Berry representing Jim and Becky Devine here this evening at 277 Hemlock Ave. So this parcel's on Hemlock, but also has frontage on the lake. And what the applicants are proposing to do is essentially demolish their existing home that's on site, looking to not change the footprint substantially. We're looking to essentially square off the home. So if you can see here, in the existing conditions portions of the plan, the existing home is shaped in this manner. There's a front stoop and a front porch. There's an overhang and there's some steps that goes to the northerly direction. And all of these areas are relatively close to the water's edge. And the existing home is set back approximately 36.5 feet from Hemlock. And so looking to essentially demolish that structure the way it sits now, demolish the existing driveway, and completely sort of rebuild the structure nearly in place. And so if you look at the ZBA plan to the southern side of the plan, you can see it's essentially the same footprint. All we've done is we've squared off some of these odd knockouts that the existing home has, and we've placed a deck which is permitted within the shoreland zone along the front side against Mendham's Pond. So something to point out in the existing condition, if the applicants wanted to have a deck on their existing home, they could simply apply for a permit with Jamie, install what Jamie would consider a reasonable deck, which is generally between 10 and 12 feet. And apply to NHDES shoreline. And because they're already within the 50-foot front primary structure setback, they would be permitted to do that. So what we've proposed to do, instead of going the route of receiving approval for reconstruction of the home in place and deck on the existing home where it's currently located, we've taken the structure, we've moved it away from the northerly boundary line to make us a little more nearly conforming. And we've essentially moved this entire structure back off from Mendham's Pond. And in so doing, we of course are getting closer to Hemlock Lane. And so our variance request is to reduce the front setback from the required 40 down to 21.1, which is to the front stoop. And again, this is to essentially reconstruct a home in the existing condition. Now, there are some benefits that come along with this project. The first is redevelopment of the existing septic system would be conducted. So we would be putting in a new two new septic tanks, one of which has an innovative technology within it, and then a new advanced EnviroSeptic system would be installed. The driveway would be reinstalled. So currently the driveway going down to the home is extremely steep. And so through this reconstruction, the home is actually going to be sort of lifted up in elevation so that the driveway into the site is a lot less steep. And is going to be made of a porous product so that the impervious surface from that new driveway is essentially reduced or removed from the runoff to Mendham's Pond. And the home is designed to have the roof runoff essentially captured and then reinfiltrated back through some dry wells on site. And so essentially the reconstruction of the site is nearly the same exact impervious footprint as the existing condition, but what we call the effective impervious surface footprint is reduced drastically. Because the amount of runoff that actually reaches Mendham's Pond is reduced nearly to zero. In addition to that, there are some areas that Becky specifically was very specific about replanting and ensuring that some vegetation be reestablished within the outer woodland buffer. And so that's proposed on the shoreline protection plan as well. And then there are some other small benefits, like there are other porous products that are being used. By example, the deck that's proposed on the second story, the underlayment to that deck is also a porous patio. So all of the stormwater that comes from the deck will also be reinfiltrated back into the ground. The steps are designed to be porous, and then there's a walkway that goes down to the lower section of the home that's also designed to be porous. So in general, it's the same exact use that's there now. It's essentially the same exact total combined number of uses that could be permitted on site. We're just choosing to move it further from the lake and then provide all of the typical technology that you can add to these project sites to improve them. No increase in bedroom count. Bedroom count stays the same. No increase in intensity of use at all. It's a full-time home that's there now. It would be a full-time home moving forward. They're choosing to reside in Barrington moving forward completely. So in addition to the effective impervious surface being reduced, the grade change throughout the site, though from top to bottom, remains the same because we can't change the earth in that way. But the slope of the driveway, the way the site is contoured in the finished condition, and the proposed condition is much better than the existing condition. It's very hard to navigate now, which means that it's in the existing condition is highly erodible. In the proposed condition, a lot of those situations go away through new design. So, Madam Chair, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. And if not, then I'd be happy to move through the 5 criteria.
Does the board have any questions at this time?
I have one question. When you were talking about the new septic systems that were in place, and you were talking about this maze system.
Yep.
And you did put in your description in here that it allows for a reduction in the leach field size,
Yes.
which seems like that would be a positive benefit, but they're choosing not to do that. Can you give more explanation on that?
Sure. So a typical septic system, when you flush the toilet, it goes into a typical septic tank, and they're sized, certain ways. The effluent, the fluid from that then goes into a leach field. There's many different types and styles. And essentially, it is the leach field's job to deal with nitrogen, phosphorus, BOD, biological oxygen demand, and TSS, so removal of all of the things that are in human wastewater. So what we've chosen to do is there's a product called the Presby Maze. Now it's just the Maze because it's not trademarked anymore, or it's trademarked by somebody else. That maze, we're choosing to install that maze inside of a second septic tank. So the effluent from the first tank will enter the second tank, and the maze is literally a cheesecloth that's hung on racks inside of this tank. And the effluent, because there's no solids in it, or very few solids in it, that cheesecloth essentially picks up that biological matter and creates yet another series of surfaces for the biological activity to break down the human waste even more. So the effluent that leaves that second tank, when it goes into the leach field, there's a lot less work that septic system has to do to reduce TSS and BOD and nitrogen and phosphorus. Because of that technology, the advanced enviroseptic systems allow us to reduce our leach field if we wanted to. And in this case, we didn't need to reduce the leach field, but we want to make sure, because we're placing this under somebody's driveway, because we're close to the lake, we want to make sure that the effluent getting to that leach field is the purest we can to reduce the stress on that septic system itself. So we could reduce the field size. We chose not to. Yep.
Any further questions from the board? Okay, then Mr. Berry, I'll have you cover the 5 criteria and then I'll open public comment.
So the first, granting the variance would not be contrary to public interest. I think we all understand the public interest is allowing people to redevelop their sites responsibly. We hope that we've proven to the board that we are responsibly redeveloping the site. The public interest is also in ensuring there's a certain uniformity within a neighborhood, which is the basic premise behind some of the zoning requirements, setbacks specifically. As we pointed out, the road itself has a series of nonconformances up and down the street, and so we don't believe that our request for nonconformance creates any detriment to general public health, safety, welfare, and in fact, with all of the improvements on site, improve the public benefit. The spirit of the ordinance is much the same, with the exception that the litmus test here is whether or not we substantially change the essential character of the neighborhood. This is a single-family home that exists on site now. We're proposing a single-family home. It's in a slightly different location. It's moved south by approximately 5 feet, and it is moved further from a water's edge, which I think we could all agree is a benefit. Other than that, there's an encroachment on an abutting piece of property that's being removed as part of this project. There's additional vegetation that's being added to the front of the project site. And so, in our opinion, the essential character of the neighborhood is not altered through the redevelopment of this site. Granting the variance would do substantial justice. The litmus test for substantial justice is whether or not the gain to the applicant far outweighs the benefit to the applicant far outweighs any detriment that there might be to the ordinance or the town of Barrington itself. I think we've pointed out that in many ways this project can be a benefit to the site. We're not overdeveloping the site. It is essentially the same exact approvable footprint that they have now. It is relocated in what we consider a more environmentally friendly location and done so in an engineered manner that improves water quality to Mendham's Pond. Granting the variance would not result in a diminution of surrounding property values. Here again, we're getting away from our abutters lot line. It is the exact same use on the exact same lot. And so because we are not proposing a use that is noxious in any way and is not dissimilar to any of the abutting properties in the area, we do not perceive that there is a diminution in property values. Special conditions exist such that literal enforcement of the ordinance will result in an unnecessary hardship. We point out here that this is a non-conforming lot. It is 10,000 square feet in size. It's approximately 100 feet deep off from the road to the river currently, but lake ordinarily. And there's absolutely no way for the applicant to essentially redevelop this site in such a responsible manner and meet the front setback. As I pointed out in one of my earlier statements, the applicant could essentially rebuild in the same footprint and add a deck to the front of that with very little permitting needed. And in contrast to that, they're choosing to become more nearly conforming to their side lot line. They're becoming more conforming with the current zoning ordinance in the town of Barrington from the lake standpoint, and are becoming more conforming in the shoreline protection zone. So for all those reasons, a denial, in our opinion, is not only an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, but may do the actual zoning ordinance a disservice.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. At this time, I'm going to open public comment. If you are in the room, you may approach the lectern and state your name and your address. And if you're online, you can use the raise hand feature.
Hi, I'm Dave Whitten. I am the co-chair or vice chair of the Road Association. I live on Hemlock Lane. I've known Jim for several years and Becky. They're great neighbors. They pay the Road Association dues. Jim helps out on the maintenance because we have a really good road association. We all pitch in to help maintain the road. It's a great group right now. The changes that Chris is suggesting for this section of the road where his driveway currently is will improve the road where his driveway is and get rid of that. It's kind of a choke point right now and a blind spot when he pulls out of his driveway. Plus, there's a lot of runoff that goes down his driveway and subsequently to the lake. So I think this plan is an improvement for the road association, and having Jim and Becky in our neighborhood is a benefit. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do I have anybody else for public comment in the meeting room or online? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Does the board have any further questions or any points of discussion? And in reviewing this, I think that this is exactly what a variance is designed for. So at this time, I would entertain a motion, and if nobody has one, I can make one.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the request for, thank you, for 124-35-GR-25V variance. Do I need to read the whole thing?
Yes, if you could just go through the 5 criteria and identify what has been presented.
And I think that we should go ahead and improve it because, to your point, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. This is already a non-conforming lot, and what they're looking to do is exactly what a variance is for, is to improve the lot in a way that best fits this non-conforming lot as it stands. It would be consistent with the spirit of it because, again, this was already developed, and what they're looking to do within this lot is actually improving the function of the lot for them and improving, as they said, the road and other components to it. It would do substantial justice because it's going to help the other landowners in the association. And I think that granting the variance will certainly not result in the diminution of the surrounding properties. And in fact, it will actually help increase the value of the surrounding properties. And that special conditions exist such that the literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship to the applicant as defined under applicable law. And what they are doing is making a better use of the property as it stands. And it would certainly, if we did not approve it, it would be a very negative effect for them. So I propose that we approve this request.
I'll second that. Can I have a roll call vote starting with Ms. Flanagan?
Flanagan, aye.
Fairfield, aye.
Samaco, aye.
Thank you.
So your variance is granted and you will receive a notice of decision from the land use office.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 226-51-NR/HCO25 for a special exception for, I have Mr. Yorgi, the church chairman, on behalf of Be Free Community Church. And before you start, sir, I just want to let you know that you have a right to an entire board. We only have 3 members tonight, which is a quorum by our rules. But if you would like to defer this to next month's meeting when the rest of our board is present, you do have that option. Would you like to proceed?
Madam Chair, I accept the board as you are.
Okay.
The special exemption that we are proposing is to the front entry of the Be Free Community Church located on 126, 118 Church Street is the street address. The application is against Article 5.2.3 as we are in violation of the 40-foot setback. The current situation is that the front of the church is accessed, does not have a ADA compliant access to the front of the church. There's a temporary ramp that is providing access. It is temporary in every sense. This is a problem, especially during events at the church, funerals, weddings. It negatively impacts access to the church itself. So we have undertaken to have a architectural design given to us that minimizes the encroachment into the setback. This ramp would, it's 21.2 feet from the property line. It comes out from the church and then pivots to the handicap parking, which is located on the northwest side of the front of the church, thereby minimizing the encroachment into the setback. It will match the existing architecture of the front of the church as far as color and design. It's an ADA compliant ramp, thereby we're not going to have the issues that we have currently for those that are handicapped or needing mobility assistance in getting in and out of the church at times. That is the sum total of the special exemption that we're seeking. I will want to clarify something that came up. I went over this with Ernest and Barbara. Barbara had called me on September the 4th, and the plot plan that was initially submitted did not have any distances of the ramp coming into the setback. I talked to Barbara over the phone, and at that time I was out of town. I gave her a dimension that was the only dimension I could derive at that time with my phone was the architect's ramp distance, which was 19 feet 8 inches. That is not from the property line. That was from the front door of the church. I came back to Ernest the following week. The plot plans had to be updated with the dimensional information. I got back together with Pat Bell, who has provided plot plans on our property in the past, and the dimension is 21 feet 2 inches from the property line. So the error was mine in giving that erroneous, I was coming from one direction and the distance required was from the property line to the ramp. So 21 feet 2 inches is the correct dimension. So I just want to put that out there as full disclosure that that's where that confusion, if there was any, was on my behalf. So I apologize, but I hope that is not a stumbling block.
Well, I did want to ask a question about this because I note that the plans that you provide are not stamped by a currently licensed surveyor, which is typically a procedural rule required by this board. So I did want to ask if there were any versions of this that were approved by someone who is currently licensed. As you mentioned, Mr. Bell did the plan, but he's not currently licensed.
That is correct. I talked to Ernest about this earlier and said that the previous plan that was submitted to Barrington, I think it was in 2006, was also submitted by Pat Bell. And that plan as well, I think, received a waiver on this. We would ask for the same benefit this time. The only thing we're doing to the property and to the the surround of the church is this ramp. There's no other structure, there's no other foundation, there's nothing else happening on that site.
And before we open public comment, I would just like, sorry, to ask that you could walk us through this form that you submitted. You've given us a general overview this evening of the plan and the reasoning, but we do have to make findings specific to
Sure.
the special exception requirement. So if you could go through that, I would appreciate it.
The structure or addition is reasonably necessary for access purposes as provided. The church's front entrance using a temporary aluminum ramp is a significant challenge for all handicapped members and friends. This lack of accessibility has negatively impacted attendance during large gatherings, especially weddings, funerals, etc. 5.2.3.2, the structure or addition reasonably cannot be built without violating the setback or cannot be built without violating setbacks except with unreasonable expense to the owner. The 40-foot setback line is parallel in essence with the front door of the church. Therefore, any accessibility improvement will breach the 40-foot setback line, including the proposed ADA compliant ramp. 5233, the setback violation is as small as reasonably possible under the circumstances. Yes, the proposed ramp pivots to the handicap parking area, thereby limiting the ramp length that extends toward Church Street. The proposed ramp will extend 13 feet beyond the existing front porch deck. 5234, the value of abutting properties will not be affected adversely. We do not believe that to be the case, as the proposed ramp will be styled to match the existing church entrance architecture and color scheme. This well-planned ramp will improve the overall front entrance appearance versus the existing temporary ramp. And 5235, the structure or addition is consistent with the health, safety, and welfare of the public, the occupants, users of the premises. So therefore, our application for special exemption considered by the ZBA under this subsection does not need to comply with the provisions of section 15.2. This is an ADA compliant ramp design. It's an important upgrade to the safety and accessibility of the church's front entrance and will assist all handicapped and mobility challenged personnel.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Okay. At this time, I'm going to open public comment. If you are present in the room, please approach the lectern. If you are online, please use the raise hand feature on Teams. And seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and open board discussion. Mr. Krevling, do we have any documentation from 2006 that confirms whether or not there was a waiver granted previously?
We do. I mean, I didn't.
That's okay. It's okay. So the board has two options, and we're going to need to consider this in making any motions. We can grant a waiver. We have the right to waive any rule of procedure as long as it's not contrary with the law and it's reasonable and justified by the circumstances. So we can grant a waiver for the requirement of the plan to be stamped by a licensed surveyor, or if we are granting this request, we can grant it with a condition that there is a spot certification by a licensed, getting a spot certification that the ramp does not exceed the approved encroachment of 21.2 feet from the property line. So those are what we need to consider when we are making any motions here this evening to make sure that we clean up that procedural issue.
So we have the right to allow a waiver to the stamp if we choose to,
That is correct.
as long as it's not contrary to the law.
That is correct.
Okay.
And
Do we need to vote on whether we want to
We
do
would
that
need to.
first?
it can be included in a motion, but it does need to be voted on. So
What is the reason for not getting a certified or stamped one?
I think in answer to your question, we were working with Pat. Pat has been with the church back in 2006. He is today. So we basically went back to the same process that we followed years ago. So that was, that's what we chose to do, and we were hoping that that would be sufficient at this point in time. We have looked and we understand that there's a requirement for a stamped plot plan. We understand that. We're not ignoring that, but we were looking for the same treatment that was applied in 2006.
I think
Madam
there's
Chair, if I may add.
yes.
My understanding of the previous request was because of the nature of the business, being a church and nonprofit, the member of the church was a licensed surveyor, but his company wasn't performing and getting paid for it, so he couldn't put that stamp on the plan. So that's why the waiver was granted, is my understanding, just because it was a legality issue for the company he worked for, was my understanding, is why they gave him the waiver for not putting his stamp on it at the time before. I believe that's the history I have on it.
So the person who has drawn this up is a surveyor?
Correct.
A licensed surveyor?
At the time of the original. Sorry. Want to come up and,
You're the person we're talking.
Oh my gosh, I'm the person that we're talking about. I am currently a licensed land surveyor. So, and I was there in 2006. I was not licensed in 2006. But what you tell is the truth. It was a company thing. So at that time, so.
Okay.
All right.
So for clarity's point, there was a licensed surveyor involved, but because no money transacted, the company and or the person was not comfortable in stamping it.
Exactly.
Okay,
And so,
thank you.
in the improvements we were doing back then, everything fell within the setbacks. So,
Thank you.
okay, so.
We appreciate that. Thank you
All
for
right.
clarification. Yes. Any further questions from the board?
Less of a question, more of a comment. I'm fine with giving a waiver in this instance.
agree.
I think that it fits what it fits the whole idea of a ZBA.
Okay, well, why don't we do two separate motions then? Why don't you make a motion for a
Oh.
waiver?
Sure. So I move to issue a waiver in the case 22651 NRHCO 25 spec X, in the sense that we recognize that there is not a engineer stamp on the plans, yet we should accept them based on the fact that A, they were given the waiver in the past for what I believe to be a valid reason, and that B, since they were given the waiver in the past, they still remain a church, and what they're asking to do is not a detriment to the town of Barrington that we issue that waiver.
And so is it part of your motion that you are finding that this waiver does not run contrary to the law and it's reasonable and justified by the circumstances?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Yes, I don't see any way in which case issuing this waiver would run contrary to the law, not being a lawyer, but and I do see that this is for the good.
I will second that motion. So roll call vote, please, starting with Ms. Flanagan.
Flanagan, aye.
Fairfield, aye.
Monaco, aye. Okay, and then on to the special exception itself. I actually have a motion. I move that we approve the special exception in case number 226-51-NRHCO-25 for a special exception for the Be Free Community Church represented by Mr. Yorgi. The structure or addition is reasonably necessary for access purposes as provided herein. As testified to, they only have a temporary aluminum ramp right now, so this is important to allow ADA compliant and reasonable handicap access to the church. The structure or addition reasonably cannot be built without violating the setbacks, or cannot be built without violating the setbacks except with unreasonable expense to the owner. Again, as testified to, the 40-foot setback line is at the door of the church, so this cannot be constructed without encroaching into the setback. The setback violation is as small as reasonably possible under the circumstances. ADA has very strict requirements, so based on what we've heard from Mr. Yorgi and from Mr. Bell, that is the most reasonable approach that they can be taking. The value of abutting properties will not be affected adversely. Certainly having an ADA compliant ramp is not going to adversely affect any of the abutting property owners. And the structure or addition is consistent with the health, safety, and welfare of the public and the occupants and users of the premises. An application for special exception considered by the ZBA under this subsection does not need to comply with the provisions of section 15.2. Again, this is an ADA compliant ramp. It's important for the church. They use it for gatherings, weddings, funerals, and those should be able to be accessed by everybody. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Flanagan, aye.
Fairfield, aye.
Samaco, aye. So your request is granted. You'll receive a notice of decision from the land use office.
Thank you,
Thank you
Madam
very
Chair.
much.
Thank you.
It'll be a pretty ramp, I guarantee it.
I'm disabled, so I hope it is.
Dick, come on over. It's gonna replace this ugly metal.
I can still stop by.
Okay. Next, we have the review and approval of the meeting minutes from August 20, 2025. All three of us were present, so we are able to vote on these tonight. I did review them and I do not have any revisions. Does anybody?
No.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 20th, 2025.
I move that we accept the minutes from August 20th, 2025, as I've found no errors or factual inaccuracies.
Second, roll call vote, please.
Flanagan, aye.
Fairfield, aye.
Samaco, aye. Any other business that may come before the board? Do any board members have any business to raise this evening?
I just have a question. Is there a reason, do we need to keep these old files? Like I have,
2-foot stack.
yes.
Everyone's different.
Yeah,
I saved a lifetime of planning board files, and others don't even.
I don't have that big of a house.
you have no record retention requirements, so, you are welcome to appropriately
I have
discard.
The interesting one. I keep it this much.
You just
Yeah.
leave them
behind my
If you
TV.
want, I would keep that.
And all the modern ZBA and planning board are on our website, so you can click on them by map and lot number.
Right, and usually if something is coming back up, they sent us a new packet anyway
Yeah.
so unless I had stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
just want to know because I was starting to get a little.
Yeah,
buried.
I started saving, and I was like, oh my God, I can't.
Order.
If you wanna leave it here, we'll just take care of it, okay?
Oh, okay. Yes,
Where would be the best place to stack it?
Just leave it on top and we'll collect them.
Okay.
Pick up the name tags.
excellent, thank you. Any business from either of you this evening?
Wait, you go town center day on Sunday.
Oh, I'll be there.
All right.
Also, and if you have any suggestions, zoning amendment changes, Ernie and the planning board are starting to work on those. So
Okay.
if there's anything you've seen that you've approved lately that you'd like to suggest as change. Changes some.
Okay, something to consider, certainly.
When does planning board meet?
First and third on Tuesday.
It hasn't been all summer, but it's, yeah, normally.
Okay, unless anybody else has anything, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion that we adjourn.
I second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote.
Flanagan, aye.
Fairfield, aye.
Samaco, aye, and we are adjourned as of 7:39.